as that happens, I'm cashing out. All right, time for Chris's free agent list. What do you got for us today, Chris?
We've got the bigs today, and the forwards. I think people seem to like the forward list, definitely more than the guard list, and I think that's just has to do with team need and the fact that, frankly, I mean, I do think the list of forwards is just a better list of available options. Centers, I really. There's things there for sure, but I didn't love the list of centers. We did get a decent amount, though. I think there's just under 10 guys that I have. It's just targets. These are just guys that should be on your radar, I think, for the Kings to potentially go after. And I do want to also shout out for the forward list. Obi Toppin. I didn't have Obi Toppin on my list. Shout out Bobby Gerald responded and put that as an addition. Obi was crazy yesterday for about 3 quarters. Definitely would love to see that version of Obi Toppin on the Kings, but also looked at his numbers and was really surprised. Obi shot 40% from 3 this year. That's really big for him. And speaking of big, let's move on to the bigs. And starting with this first one, this is one that might not make a lot of sense on surface. I will give that as a note. But Jonas Valanciunas is a guy who plays with Domantas Sabonis, is a fellow countryman of Domantas Sabonis in Lithuania. And, I think the fit isn't perfect. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to start both of them, definitely. I think the thought would just be this allows you, and this is probably more of a Malik is gone and you do need some sort of steady bench presence.
Right.
I don't know where Jonas is at, where he feels like he's at in his career. He's a 32-year-old center who has played a good amount of NBA basketball, has been in the league since 2012. I don't know if the Pelicans view him as a starter. I don't know if he views himself as a starter. If he's willing to kind of do what Malik did and come off the bench but be a de facto 20 to 25 minute per game player, I think he can be very, very useful. It allows you to play without Domantas Sabonis out there for 40 minutes. He's a more than useful center, is a big body, which is something the Kings kind of struggled with. I think it's why when Alex Len was out there, he was so noticeable. Is just he adds so much size and physicality to this roster.
Alex Len and Valanciunas?
You could. You wouldn't have to, but you could. I don't think Len would get minutes if Jonas is playing, but obviously if Jonas goes down, it'd be better to have Alex Len, who's, no disrespect, but probably a poor man's version of that. So Jonas Valanciunas is a name I like, but is more of a situational addition, but still somebody I think has some value for this team, even though he's not a perfect fit, maybe. Precious Achiuwa, someone who's in that Knicks series, and he's just a grinder, man. Like, this is your modern day Kenneth Faried, your Montrezl Harrell. This is just an absolute energy machine, offensive rebounding monster, can get double doubles. I think he was top 10 in bench double doubles this season. So he can be productive in a limited role. He's a little small for to be the only big man out there, but he is also really quick, can move really well. If the Kings want to play a high pace style of basketball, I think he'd be good for it. I think he's a lob target. I'm not really super familiar with just exactly how explosive he is as a rim threat, but I definitely think there's a lot there just from an energy guy, and I think you can mold him into kind of whatever defensive guy that you want him to be. Jalen Smith is a name Whitey and Jerry Reynolds both really high on. He was drafted in front of Tyrese Halliburton, somebody who, I think Phoenix definitely regrets that. They took Jalen Smith at number 10 instead of taking Tyrese Halliburton. It would be interesting to see his fit with the Kings. He's more of a stretch big, kind of funny enough. He's on the Pacers. He is a little Miles Turner-y.
Right.
And I think he's somebody who you're banking on has a little bit more to grow. You're kind of doing the secondary draft thing where he's past his rookie contract and maybe he wasn't, groomed correctly in the NBA and can use a little adjusting in the right situation. I think Jalen Smith would be a good addition. Isaiah Hartenstein, kind of same thing I said about Precious Achiuwa, just a better version of it. His thing might be, he's playing 40 minutes a game right now with the Knicks. If the Knicks want him back, which we don't know, Mitchell Robinson, they got Julius Randle, they might not have the same minutes for Hartenstein, but just watch this playoff series if you want to get what Isaiah Hartenstein brings. Yesterday, he almost had a triple-double, so a little bit of playmaking in there that I wasn't sure he had. So obviously, when you're going to be backing up Domantas Sabonis, it's great to have some playmaking so you're not just completely doing different things. Maybe you can run a little bit of the same actions when Sabonis isn't out there. Same thought process for Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee's probably more of a personal thing for me. Really like Mason Plumlee's game 2 years ago. Was up near the tops in the NBA in screen assists, which is a number Sabonis is always really high in. So I think, again, just kind of having that same kind of mold for your backup big as your starter. Andre Drummond just went crazy. Andre Drummond went crazy this year off the bench, had tons of 15 games. Is somebody I definitely think you want in tiny spurts. I don't think you want Andre Drummond playing 30 minutes a night for
anchoring.
You. Yeah. I think those days are over. I remember I think there's a Bleacher Report article from 10 years ago at this point where they said, looking 15 years into the future, who are going to be the best players in the league? Andre Drummond was number 1 on that list. He's so far gone past that, but he is still a decent piece and somebody I think would bring some physicality and some size to their bench. I don't know if it'd be a good fit for the style of play the Kings play, but Andre Drummond's definitely somebody with some talent. Daniel Tice, just kind of another energy guy. He plays for the Clippers as well, so it plays in a winning situation. Goga Bitadze, that's a personal favorite of mine. He's a shooter. This dude can definitely, I think with a bigger role, he can have a big impact. He's kind of a stretch 5 a bit. Really like his game, really efficient. Doesn't get to play a ton for the Magic, but in the little bit that he does play, looks really good. Luke Cornett, fantastic player for the Celtics. Another guy, you give him some opportunity, I could see him thrive. Alex Len on the list. I just think Alex Len has shown throughout the years what he can bring. The last one I have on here is Thomas Bryant, who has a player option for $2.7 million. He's on the Miami Heat. He's infamously in the picture where LeBron James breaks the scoring record. He's posting up, asking for the ball in the post, so that will forever be memorialized. But Thomas Bryant, really good hustle guy, really good rebounder, still really young. He's 26, has been on some good teams. He was on the Heat last year.
He's on a different team every year.
Yeah, he is. He has literally pretty much been on a new team every year of his career. And has just really not found a situation where he's been able to find a role. I think in Sacramento, if he were to be given a similar opportunity that we saw Alex Len and JaVale given this year, I think he could do that. I think he can play 40 to 50 games for you and give you pretty good center minutes. Plus, he's still young, so I think there's still a little bit of meat on that bone to maybe make him an 82-game player.
I have thoughts. I'm sure Chris does as well, and I'm sure you do as well on this list. We will get to them coming up next. 916-339-1140 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.